I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez, absent. Councilman Cypress.
Here.
Councilman Larka.
Here.
Councilman O'Connor.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Notation of exits in the front and the rear. An electronic device, please put it on vibrate. I make a motion to come out of the executive session. No action was taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First thing on the agenda tonight is a public hearing. Amend Chapter 126 of the Town Code, Taxation, Article 1, Senior Citizen Tax Exemption, Section 126-1A, B, and C, in accordance with recent amendments to Real Property Tax Law 467 to increase the income limits for eligible seniors over the 3-year period. I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone in the audience tonight to speak to that matter? Seeing none, I make a motion to close the public hearing and allow a 5-day written notice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Second item on public hearing notice this evening, amend Chapter 126 of the Town Code, Taxation, Article 5, Exemption for Disabled Persons with Limited Incomes, 126-10 and 126-11, in accordance with recent amendments to Real Property Tax Law 459C to increase the eligible income limits for disabled persons over a 3-year period. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Anyone here to speak to that matter this evening? Seeing none, make a motion to close the public hearing and allow a 5-day written comment period.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, work session. First item, discussion tonight on special district water and wastewater fees. This is not a public hearing tonight, but we're
So
gonna,
I wouldn't be able to get up and speak or anything.
ma'am, if you give me a chance to explain,
Okay.
that's what I'm trying to do right now. Okay? This is not a public hearing. However, the board will treat it somewhat as a public hearing. We have our special district people here this evening, and they'll make comment, and then we'll ask the public to come up and speak. Bill, would you rather have them speak first, or would you rather give a slight,
Well, I want to introduce and what we're doing.
okay?
Just say what we're doing to start, and then,
We'll have the public come up, make their comment.
yeah.
Okay, very good, do that.
So, my name's Bill Wright.
Bill, if you would, just go up to the mic there, identify yourself, what's your title, job, et cetera.
My name is Bill Bright. I'm with Delaware Engineering. We've been hired by the town to perform a study on each special district to determine the current conditions and as compared to the regulations that oversee and that the each district is required to be operating under, all right? And some of that has to do with water quality, and some of that has to do with the physical, structural integrity of the equipment and the processes that are in each of the special districts. We're also working on a contamination issue at 2 special districts for perfluoroalkalies. It's a contaminant. It's been in the news a lot. It's a human carcinogen. New York State enacted regulation about 1.5 years ago, lowering or establishing a limit of 10 parts per trillion. That's the lowest. Limit in the country right now. There's no there's no federal regulation on this. There's a health advisory of about 70 parts per trillion for drinking water. But the studies that they've done, that the EPA has done, EPA is in the process of promulgating regulations for the concentration of the PFASs, but as not just the individual chemicals. Right now, we have a limit on 2 specific chemicals, PFOS and PFOA. and they're forms of PFAS, all right? PFAS is a class of chemicals. They're man-made chemicals. The foundation of them is a chemical bond, fluoride and carbon. It's the strongest bond known in chemistry, and what it makes it a very persistent chemical, very hard to treat, very hard to break down. There's a lot of research going on right now. These chemicals are used in so many things. Teflon, non-stick cookware, Gore-Tex. We could go on and on. The wax paper, when you buy a burger at Burger King, the reason the grease doesn't stick to it, it's hydrophobic and oil phobic, so it doesn't uptake water. It's used in the firefighting foams at airports. Military bases are inundated with this stuff. So water supplies around military bases a lot of them are polluted with this stuff. It's the primary environmental issue and drinking water issue that the country faces right now. If you Google PFAS, you'll find just reams and reams of discussion on it, and we take it very seriously. Delaware Engineering has been involved in designing filtration systems. Right now, all we can do is remove it. We can't treat it. We can't break the carbon fluoride bond. There's studies. There's research. That's where it has to go. It has to get to the point where we can actually treat it and break the bond, that fluoride carbon bond. So we can. If you break that bond, it's inert. It turns into carbon dioxide, and it's not a pollutant anymore. But as long as the carbon and the fluoride are bonded together, it makes it. That's why Teflon is so good at what it does, because it can withstand extreme levels of heat and still do what it's supposed to do, which is non-stick cookware. But Teflon is used in I don't know if you remember when the Challenger crashed. A ring was the reason. It was a Teflon ring made out of PFAS that failed. So we've been using it as a society for years and years and years. Gore-Tex is an amazing product. It keeps you warm, it keeps you dry, but it's made of these persistent chemicals, and they're everywhere. They're literally everywhere. They're in the blood supply. They've researched the polar bears above the Arctic Circle have them. So it's a very persistent chemical. About 30% of all the water supplies in New York State have it in it. We're building filtration systems pretty regularly for supplies that have been contaminated. So you ask a question: how could Birch Hill be contaminated? Well, all it took was a car fire on Route 22, and they came in and sprayed the foam to put the fire out, and then they hose that foam off, and that gets into the water supply, and we're talking 10 parts per trillion. They couldn't even test 10 parts per trillion until 3 years ago. So it's up and coming, it's new, but it's something that is real. It is a real human carcinogen. There is a study. I don't know if you saw the movie Dark Waters. That movie is all about this chemical. That's what that movie is about. Where was it going? I don't know where I was going.
Birch Hill's got the PFAS.
Birch Hill has it. Yeah, there's a lot of places around that have it. Wherever there's a fire training center, there's contamination, pretty much. You can go around to the different fire training centers and poke holes in the ground and test the water, and there'll be PFASs there. Human carcinogen. Oh, they did a 70,000 cohort study with humans, not with rats, not with mice, with humans. This was 70,000 people that they tested. And they tested their blood and their serum level, and they were able to prove that it was responsible for it's 8 separate 8 separate diseases. So, and one of them is testicular cancer. It's bad stuff. So we've been hired to come in and to design a treatment system to bring the levels down to non-detect, 0, at Star Ridge and at Birch Hill. All right, so, and Birch Hill is 25 homes, all right? And there's just no way that 25 homes can pay for the cost of the filtration system that we have to put in. So there is grant money that we're going after to see if, I mean, there's 60% grants, there's other grants just for the PFAS issue in New York State. New York State is in the forefront of all the states working with this stuff. I would suggest Googling, it's gonna sound silly, but Hoosick Falls, New York, water. Because that was the first place that it showed up and it really blew up there. And my engineer that's working with us, he's the guy that designed the emergency system at the Hoosick Falls plant. And what we do is our systems, when we design them, we design it to remove 100%. We don't like shoot at the limit and go for like 5 parts per trillion. We want to get all of it out because when it gets into you, it takes so long for it to leave. When it gets into a cell, into a biological structure, it's persistent and it biologically magnifies. So if you're uptaking it, it's not going out as fast as you're taking in. So it builds up in biological systems. So, and the process that we're going to use is called granular activated carbon. It's a well-known media for removing chemicals, volatile organics, and it works very well on this particular contaminant. So that's those two, the Birch Hill and Star Ridge. Star Ridge is different because there's 145 homes, so you can spread the costs out a little bit better over 145 than you can over 25. So we've done a preliminary design for each place. We submitted them to the health department for review. We've gotten comments back. We're adjusting our designs. We haven't assigned any cost to it yet. We know it's expensive, but we know what things cost, but we haven't really come up with any costs for what the system would be at, say, Birch Hill. But we know whatever it is just crazy expensive for 25 homes. I mean, we've done other work. We've looked at, so I don't know if you know Fortune Homes in the back up on the hill. They have a series of wells up there and they have no PFOAs, all right? So their water is clear. So we've looked at what would it cost to connect to them and buy water from them as a possibility. And that's a possibility. It's an expensive solution, but it's a solution. We know the wells up there are clean, and we know that they don't have we'd have to drill a couple more wells up there, which makes it more expensive and things like that. So we have a ways to go before we figure out exactly what the solution's going to be at Fox Hill. At Star Ridge, we're moving forward with filtration. We put in 3 filters. They run in series. When you get breakthrough through the first filter, you still have 2 filters filtering it. So we always maintain a 0.0 for those 2 sources. As far as the other water systems and sewer systems go, we've done some work on Brewster Heights water. I mean, it hasn't really been upgraded since it was built in the 90s. There's upgrade work that needs to be done there. I mean, it's not in terrible condition, but there is work that has to go on. And I mean, there's some things. Let's see. So, like the distribution system is still the original distribution system. It was put in 1960s, and it's cement asbestos. I mean, that's not a problem, but it's reached its useful life. So, I mean, one of the things one of the things we do with capital programs is try to stay ahead and do work a little bit each time and spread it out over a longer period so the costs don't go through the roof. The other thing is we look for grant money, and we've been very successful getting grant money for upgrades and repairs with our clients. So we're just starting. I mean, we've really just been working on this stuff since the end of last year and the beginnings of this year. I mean, we did have a little success. One of the first things we did was look at the dirty water issue up at Brewster Heights, and I think we solved that fairly quickly. And
Don't think so.
Ma'am,
Okay.
do not, ma'am in the rear, please. You have your, ma'am, you will have your opportunity, please.
so, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that we've eliminated the dirty water, because a lot of that can have to do with where your house is, if you're on a dead end or that. But for the most part, the water quality that we're seeing every day going out of the Brewster Heights water treatment plant is dramatically changed from what it was from over the years. I mean, I look at the data, I review the data pretty regularly, and I mean, we've changed the water quality that leaves the plant. I'm not saying that there's not issues in the distribution system that could lead to dirty water. I'm not saying that. I will say though that the number of dirty water calls has pretty much disappeared as far as what it was before. Blackberry Hill Sewer, we're just starting to look at that. We're going to do an engineering analysis of every single system, and we're going to prioritize the repairs, and then we're going to go and make applications for grant money to do certain improvements that just have to be done. I mean, there's things that have to be done. The city, the two wastewater plants that we have a contract with New York City. If the equipment is equipment that was provided by New York City, we'll make them replace that equipment, and they'll do that. They're very they're good to work with, the city DEP. So that's kind of where we're at. That's what we're doing.
Okay, for now,
Okay.
Next thing I want to do is, I mean, there's many districts here, so I'd like to, you can sit down, Bill, for a bit, because I'm going to read out there's many districts here in town. We have 9 water, 3 sewer. Brewster Heights, there's 244 residents within the Heights. In 2022, they were paying $266 a quarter, and the estimated rate for this year is $345. Eagles Ridge, they have metered, there's 24 metered and 114 unmetered. The metered one is going from 321 to, no, that's wrong, 241 to 321. The unmetered is going from 289 to 359. Star Ridge is 98 residents, and that's the one with a problem. They're estimated at 166 to 316. Fox Hill, 33 units, they were 319, estimated to be 425. Peaceable Hill, there's 135 units, meaning homes. It was going from 450 to 464. Blackberry with 90. These are the houses, not the condos. They're going to go from 100 to 136. Blackberry condos, there's 158. They're projected to go from 85 to 121. Hillcrest was 190, and they're proposed to go to 205. Springhouse Estates, which is 54 units, it's the second lowest, and they used to pay $900 a quarter. Now they've dropped down. They're down $800. Now they're down to $775 per quarter. And Birch Hill, with the least amount, is proposed to go from $301 to $451. Now these new rates were done previous to the new people that we hired to come in. We hired professional engineers. We found that these numbers were increasing previously to them. They've inherited these numbers. If they can be adjusted, I guess they will be adjusted, but this is what was being proposed. We haven't had an opportunity because this just came out, so we know the numbers now. If there's a chance to adjust them, they could possibly be adjusted because the bills haven't gone out, and we'll be discussing that within the next month. The bills won't go out until the first quarter, and if they can be adjusted, we'll consider it at the time. Now, I know people up there in Brewster Heights. I lived up there back in '57, and believe me, they didn't have water and sewer at that time. Everyone had their own well and septic on quarter-acre parcels. Now, for years, I sat back, and I became here in the town 2012. And of course, I came in and I saw the numbers. I was so glad I moved to Brewster Heights because I probably couldn't afford it either. But at any rate, you know, when they built the plant, they said it's going to be X number of dollars. And over the years, I don't know exactly what year the plant's been there, but it's been there for quite some time. So they were told that, you know, you have a bond, we're going to float it. They floated a bond. And of course, the rates went up, up, up. And then back in 2016, the bond was paid off. And Brewster Heights went from 329 down to 289. So that was somewhat of an adjustment, maybe not as much as what people wanted. But in the meantime, the plant got older, as Mr. Bright was just explaining. The plants got older, still got more to go. And now it's back to, what did I say, Brewster Heights? Brewster Heights is estimated this year at 359, which was, it was 329 when they paid off the bond. So now you're paying 30 more than you were paying back then, but it's going up, it went down, it's going back up. When these plants run, they run 24 hours, 7 days a week. I'm not making excuses. There's chemicals. If you have the sludge removal for the septic systems, or sewer systems, the sludge removal is outrageous. We have every penny that we spend. I went through knowing this was coming up this evening, and I looked, and I saw something from one of the local stores for something for like $3.59. I said, I hope the guy didn't go out and buy a sandwich and, you know, put it to the district. A lot of people think that money's being put in district. Every district that's out there, all those 9 water and 3 sewer districts pay into their own. No other district shares your money. When you pay into your district, it stays within your district to fix your problem, not somebody else's. And unfortunately, with the ones with the 24 homes, and you have what is now a major problem, it is a major problem. Now, that district was not the town's. I think maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago, the owner of the district came to the town, basically gave us a key and said, this is yours. We inherited most of these. These are not by the town. Springhouse. I mean, the developers use those water districts as a moneymaker, but I'm telling you right now, once it went from the black to the red, they all of a sudden handed the keys over to town and made it our responsibility. We have, you know, Department of Health regulations, and we have to adhere to those regulations. So we'll let you come up one at a time to speak, and as you speak, if you address either Bill or Rodney, or we'll have you come up and see if we can help explain to them whatever the question they have to be responded to.
Can I just ask a
Yep.
few questions first? And Bill, some of these may be for you, but...
Okay, Bill, you want to go
well,
back up there for a second then?
Yeah, so first, I just want to address you all and let you know that the board members had no idea about these increases at all. The first I heard of it was someone in the audience called me on Monday after they had received the letters. And I acknowledge that I think the communication on this is a little bit backwards, where it should have been communicated before you got these letters. So I want you all to know that. Mr. Bright, I just have a couple questions. I heard you're applying for grants. Have we ever received grants in the past? No? Okay. I thought that was the answer. Do you know...
And there's a lot of opportunities right now for grant money.
And that was the prior...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every capital project that we've looked at that's been done over the past 20 years has been with no help, no grants, not even low interest loans.
Okay. So this will be an improvement. When do you think the timeline that we'll have more refined costs and plans for each district?
And each one's different. And mainly
Roughly.
what we're talking about is right now, the primary focus is Star Ridge and Birch Hill, all right, as far as applying for grant money. And we also know that Blackberry Sewer, we're going to apply for a grant for that I can talk more about that, but,
I was
We've-
just thinking ballpark.
so we've done the preliminary engineering report, we've submitted to the health departments, we've gotten comments, we're in the process of responding to those comments. One of the things we've done with Birch Hill, because Birch Hill is such a small number of homes, we've asked the health department to consider point of use treatment. Now, what point of use treatment is each house would get a treatment system, all right? And it would be 3 canisters, probably about that big around, next to each other in series. And the water would come in and go through the first one, go through the second one, go through the third one, and there'd be sampling taps there. And the town's operators would come in quarterly and collect samples, all right? As soon as you got breakthrough through the first one, we would take that offline, take the end one, put that one there, and put a new one on the end. That's just simply how it would do. They would be designed to ensure that downstream there would be no PFOAs in that. We don't expect them to allow us to do that, but we had to. I mean, it's the most cost-effective way.
Okay.
But they don't normally, if you're a district, they want a district-wide solution. But the fact that there's only 24 homes, we felt we had to ask. So we're just we've just asked that question now.
Okay.
So let's say, so as far as the design and the comments, so we'll probably have all our comments back to the health department within, let's say it's within the month, we have them all back to them, and then it goes through another round of comments, take a month, then another month we'll go to that, and then we'll understand where our design is at. Once we understand what's approved, then we can go to the manufacturers and we can get our budget numbers. All right, once we get our budget numbers, then we can make a grant application because we'll know what the costs are.
Okay.
I believe this all has to be done by mid-June because there's deadlines for when these grants, each year there's a different deadline, they change it. Every year they change the deadline. So by mid-June, we'll know what the costs are going to be, and we'll have a grant application in for Star Ridge water, for Fox Hill water, and for Blackberry Hill sewer.
So these increases are kind of more preemptive to fix issues that are coming, and then, so my question is it kicking the can down the road to wait until June, and can we change the rates mid-year? Do we have better estimates?
These rates, I have no idea how. There was another person that did it. He's not. I don't understand how the rate number was established.
Me neither.
We didn't provide any finance information to establish those rates. I will tell you that some of the districts were running in the red, so it might have been to catch up with that, to try to pay off some of those old debts.
But I understand, you don't know, you don't have to answer.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, I have no idea how the numbers were established.
Okay, fair enough.
That's why we brought you on board.
So,
Okay.
can I just,
Yep, go
two
ahead.
things. One general comment, you talked about the districts, their money staying within themselves. Well, the flip side of that is legally, the rest of the town can't pay towards your district either. So like, unfortunately, the 24 homes have to pay for the 24 homes themselves. That's just the way it works unless
Yeah.
he gets grant money.
Well, even if they get grant money, you've got to stay within that district as well.
Right. But I meant you couldn't,
No.
it's not like the general funds could help these people out.
No.
And just as a follow-up, I guess, to his last question, one of the things I was hoping you were going to answer, and using Birch Hill as an example, was, what would that 50% increase get them? Is that going to fix their PFA problem? But you're saying you didn't.
I don't know because I don't know if this is more than we need or less than we need. I don't, because
So
we
it's
haven't
hard-
even established the budget yet.
It's hard for a resident to accept an increase when they don't know what they're getting for it.
Exactly.
Well, we do know it's going to be something. And
Yes.
it's going to be expensive.
We do
This
know.
might even be a low number. I mean, Springhouse, when they came in, the plant cost, I think, almost double what was estimated at the time, okay? Because you started, took 2 years, and they got up to over $900 a quarter. Outrageous. But we're not doing it.
I mean, one thing we will do is we'll go through the financing. We haven't had any time to do that yet. We'll go through the financing of each district, and we'll see if we can refinance the capital fund, the borrowing that's been done, that's out there on something like Springhouse, for instance. I mean, that was all borrowed money. I don't know what the rate was that they got. I don't know if it was a 20-year loan or a 50-year loan. I mean, we'll go through all that, and we'll work with the Environmental Facilities Corp. The New York State EFC, Environmental Facilities Corp., is the funding. It's a public corporation that is their job is to take all of the EPA funding and bring it to the state level. So all of our applications go to EFC. All right. On the wastewater side, it's DEC and EFC. On the water side, it's State Health Department and Environmental Facilities Corporation. So once we get our the priorities done, then we'll go back and we'll look at every district and we'll see if there's better ways to finance. We have been successful in other communities. We found one grant, let's say, in the town of Lewisboro it was a 22-year borrowing on something that easily was going to last 40 years. So we extended we changed the borrowing out to 40 years. It lowered everybody's bill dramatically by doing that. So we have 25% of our people at Delaware Engineering pretty much is focused on is helping our clients fund the projects.
Oh, I'm totally confident, Bill.
But I just want, so I have experts that I can bring that stuff to, but we're just getting our legs under us and just starting
Yeah,
the
I'm
process.
confident you will have a good plan,
Yeah.
and you will fight to fix our finances.
Yeah.
The issue, I guess, is the
Is this,
increases
these bills, I don't know.
that are
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And it just feels like we put in an increase without knowing what it should be.
But
But we do, I mean, they all do need some increase,
Right.
but, I mean, I don't, Fox Hill went from $319 a quarter to $425 a quarter. But Fox Hill is in the red 7 years in a row. That means they spent more money than they took in, all right?
not by large amounts, but it would never get corrected.
But it's there, right? And New York State Audit and Control, I don't think these have been audited because they would have written that up. Water supplies need to be in the black. I mean, public water supplies need to be in the black. It's just one of the things one of their things that they do. So I don't know if when he made the rate change, if he was trying to catch up with that particular, just using that as an example.
So, Bill, what do you think, could we table this for 6 months, the increases, and have better figures and then determine it based on the reality of what we need to move forward?
I think legally you can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
I don't know enough about it yet, literally. I mean, Rod and I have just,
Yeah, I would like to answer. What I've noticed or what
Rod,
You
just go.
come to the mic for the recording.
Now, these gentlemen, again, have only been on for the past 5 months, and they're trying to correct a situation that we were made aware of.
Good evening. My name's Rod Brown.
Rod, you don't speak, if you want to turn the table so you can face the audience more, and then speak into the mic, they can hear you better.
Okay. My name's Rod Brown, President of Muni Management, been hired by the town of Southeast to work with their special districts. I'm the Special Districts Administrator. What I have to say is I was the mayor of a village in Dutchess County. And when I came in, we had the same kind of situation. Nobody wanted to raise the rates. And what I've done is I looked at your rates for any given plant here, district, from 2017 to 2022. Okay? What I see is that there wasn't any increasing during that period of time or any significant. If we assume that inflation went at a rate of 5%. I'll take Birch Hill. 2017, they paid $2.95 a quarter. At 5%, that should have increased each year to where it is now at about $400, $395. And I'm just saying 5% average. None of that happened. What's happened is you've gone along with $2.95. There was an increase of $4 in 2021. I mean, there was an increase of $2 in 2022. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm looking at the budget with Bill. I don't know how this is managed to get like this. You can't, you have to take in revenue for expenses. Things go up. There's a lot, chemical costs are much greater. The pumps that are involved are much greater. These systems are old. There's a lot of repair that has to go on. There's just a lot, and it's not kept pace, and it's a shame. It's terrible. I did it. It was, I think, 16 years. The village I worked with didn't have a rate increase, and we had a plant that had to get put in, and they took a hit. It's a little less painful if you do it out, each year. And I hear Eric. It's hard to get a bill like this. It really is. Putting it out another 6 months, I don't know that that's the answer. It's going to, given how it's going, the expenses are so great, the revenue has not kept pace, okay? I've not seen which districts are in the red. I'm not there, but at this point in time, you can maybe bring it back a little in line. I don't know what the magic answer is. It's a severe increase, but had it been done since 2017, 6 years, just a little at a time, you'd have been at that same rate today that they're asking for. And
And who sets the rates over the past years? Was that the former,
no names.
Former employee of the town?
He's in the past years and this year. I did not get this. I got this on Friday, right? I saw the letters, not today, but a week ago, not a Friday before anything. I got it. I was emailed the letters. I looked at them and I thought, well, this seems substantial. And I thought everybody, because again, I've gone through this before. We've had the people come in. You got to explain to them. It's a hard nut, but in order to get these things done and not go in the red and get yourself back in the black, somebody has to pay. The government doesn't make money. They just take money.
They do.
They collect money from people.
Not
they
us,
don't.
Well, yeah,
if there's a way.
we don't make money off it.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
When you say make money, I was being given away like the government does.
Right. No.
These are all self-funded.
That's
Yep.
that's the law. You're not going to get around that. So district like Birch Hill, their money is exclusively within that district. There's no money being sent here or there. They have very strict things where you can borrow. You can never borrow from sewer. It's just a whole.
Again, it just seems like some of these numbers are arbitrary.
Well,
I have to admit, every item in our budget, even our own budget, it's your best guesstimate because you never know.
I just wonder.
Except for salaries.
Nobody now knows
No.
what the best guesstimate was.
No, this one we don't.
I mean, if we had a couple of weeks to go through and see the numbers, we could come up with a suggestion, I think.
Yeah.
I would certainly.
It sounds
do
like
I think
nobody
we can make
really.
it less painful? Absolutely.
It sounds like no one here knows why the amounts that were picked. And if we could
Yeah.
dial them in.
Nobody-
in a few weeks-
Maybe we'll be able to figure it out, but right now, we don't know.
Right, but so just, if you guys could swag, like, this district went up 30%,
Yeah.
but I don't see us having any big expenses,
Yeah.
maybe we bring that one down.
Yeah.
Maybe unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we
Birch-
need some time to digest all of the information that we have
Right.
and figure out what each district really needs.
But could you just go up there for the recording? Because if people watch this, they won't be able to hear you. Sorry.
I get the.
And then right after he finishes, we're gonna have the public come up and see if we can answer
Okay.
the
No,
questions.
I think if we have like 2 to 4 weeks and that we can digest this and go
Yep.
through it, and we'll come up with a recommendation for each district for this year.
Yep.
And next year will be his budget, it'll be our budget. You know,
Right.
we'll involve everybody on that one. We don't, I mean,
And the one thing that piqued my interest that you said, and I don't know if you could do this in 2 to 4 weeks, is just kind of, we'll call it refinancing some of the debt. And
we
I
can
don't-
touch on it. We can get our arms around whatever bonding is out there, and
Right.
and we can take a look at what the terms are, and so we can. I don't think a lot of the special districts have bonding.
Okay.
right? I think Brewster Heights Sewer might.
So just a quick
We're starting
question on that, and I don't.
No, do you
I don't-
know?
I don't expect you to be a finance expert, maybe there's no bonds, but do bonds have interests that are similar to
We
like?
can't take a bond to pay for O&M though.
Okay,
They will not loan you money to
So-
reduce O&M costs.
so say there is.
But I will tell you that as we upgrade the plants and we eliminate the emergency repairs, which is what I think most of the costs are that have been driving the rates, everything is an emergency repair these days. Once we get our arms around the plants and come up with an improvement plan and get the plants to where they're operating the way they should be, then you eliminate all those call-outs. You eliminate all of the extra.
Expense.
I mean, and remember, we're paying everything's prevailing wage. So, an electrician's like $80 an hour plus benefits. I mean,
So, and maybe we don't have any bonds, but just in case you know off the top of your head, if we had debt and we could refinance it, would it be market rate or could it be at the 0% money or 0% interest?
because your rates are so high, you qualify for a lot of funding.
For refinancing?
For
or-
whatever capital, for however, what we would probably do is, let's say we're gonna upgrade Brewster Heights Water.
Right.
And it has a bond.
Right,
Right? So included in the upgrade and borrowing, we'd have to pay off that note.
okay.
All right, so we would bring that current, and there's a good chance that we would get a zero interest loan because
Right.
of the rates, because it's called a hardship rate, and based on the 5 systems that I've looked at,
Right.
each one qualifies for hardship because the rates are so high.
Okay.
The average, you qualify for a loan if your average water bill is more than $790, more than $690 a year.
And so there's no just straight up refinancing. You can refinance like a car you trade in, you're paying off the debt and then you have your repayment.
You have an upgrade plan.
Okay.
All right? You're going to improve water quality, you're going to improve things, you're going to create jobs. New York State's behind that kind of stuff.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, just one
One
quick
more
thing
question, we'll go to
before-
public.
not
No,
really.
no.
No, you're good, Bill.
Just stick by in case when they come up, they need a question.
I like the idea of us,
You can sit, Bill, go ahead, sit.
of potentially
No,
making an
I want
adjustment
Bill to
based
sit
on
down so he doesn't stand the whole time. You're gonna get tired.
I'll do whatever you tell me to do.
I just wanted to answer Eric's question. You have.
Come up to the mic again, please.
As per these letters that we got, right? You have 7 districts that have capital debt, right? You
Okay.
see that on there, and then they tell you the amount paid.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's very possible that Bill or myself, we can look into something as far as refinancing. So, I mean,
And
Birch Hill's got $24,000 of capital debt, okay? And
Yeah.
that's an awful lot for 24. I mean, it's not an awful lot for 24, but
24,000 you said?
$24,000 of capital debt, yes.
No, it doesn't seem like too much.
No, it doesn't. For
You're not
20
paying it.
24 houses, it does. And then the added cost of the PFAS and PFOS,
But that's over, is that like a term, or that has to be paid like this year?
well, he's saying
And
that,
No, what we'll do is we'll take whatever capital debt is there.
Yep.
And we'll roll it into the upgrade plan.
And I guess that's, I don't, and I'm sorry, I'm
Well,
not, no,
You're
my,
paying an interest rate on that right now. I know you are.
Yeah.
Right?
but
I
my,
think because you qualify for these no-interest loans, the refinancing may lower the capital.
I guess my question, and I apologize if you answered, I'm not understanding, but can you refinance without an upgrade? Without like reborrowing? Like if I wanted to refi my house and not take money out?
Not with EFC, but with, there's other places you can borrow the money.
Okay,
Right.
good, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Eric, you got
So,
one
yeah,
more?
all I wanted to say was I like the idea of them taking a look and seeing if we could get the rates estimated better. But when you guys come up to speak, just keep in the back of your minds that that might mean they're lower now and you pay more later when the real numbers come in. So just understand that.
Right, and I think a large part of what I'm hearing is that the communications kind of just toppled at some point. And you're gonna get more stuff from me than you're gonna want. So I'm gonna, knowing that this is an issue, it's an issue a lot. When Bill comes up, he tells me that Department of Health has done something, I'll send a letter out. It'll be on the alert system, on the you have a system that
The
people go to
texting.
look at.
Yep.
These are all posted on there. You'll be able to see what other districts are doing. But we're gonna, as we get information in, we're gonna publish it. And unless I hear otherwise, like, don't do that, then that's what we're gonna do.
Can't give too much information, right?
I don't think so.
I copy everything with everybody. I copy everything to everybody.
Yeah. And
Thanks, Rodney.
I mean, that's the
All right.
reason we brought you gentlemen in, and you're doing a good job so far. Unfortunately, you're getting beaten up for this year, but you're gonna make it better at some point in time. Okay, let's start with the public and
I
get some
can
comments. You don't have to raise your hand, just come up to speak, and when she's about ready to go, the next one come up, please. No, come on. Sir, if you want to take a seat up there and jump up later on.
Okay, my name is Kathleen McBride. I live in Brewster Heights, and I just got all this information about everything too. Like, it's like, wow, But anyway, you're talking about where you're working over it, where they have wells, the place that you're going to start working, doing.
The two plants that
The two plants, okay. Ours, Brewster Heights is totally different.
Yep.
So like, I think I shouldn't jump the gun. You're making me jump the gun and freak out and get nervous, but I think that I shouldn't do that yet because our water comes from the reservoir. It comes into the tank, and they put chemicals in it to neutralize everything, to make everything what it should be, like before you ingest it. So I think it's totally different than the one you're talking about, the wells and stuff like that. So I should just go home and go to sleep tonight and not worry about it?
Bill, okay.
Rodney,
Rodney,
just for the recording, if you could, sorry.
No, I'm just saying that,
No,
Who fucked you up there?
what?
You need two
I'm
mics.
sorry.
do I think you're coming here is misplaced? No. Okay, Brewster, you went up $79. Well, $79.50, $79. That seems to be what would be like
It's 25%. That's what I get. My water bill for next year is gonna be 25% more, which is over $400 and something dollars.
The water went up 30%.
Yeah, but I'm saying that I'm gonna pay, I'm questioning it because
Not between,
25%
You're-
is
please.
a lot of money.
What I'm gonna say is that Eric and Tony and the rest of the board have asked that we review what's going on here and see that we come up with
Okay.
better numbers. Is it possible that you're gonna have a better number? It is. We have to take a look
All right, well,
at
that's
how
what I'm
these new numbers arrived. And the Birch Hill and the Star Ridge, they're in a bad way just simply because they have to have that contaminant removed.
Right.
Short of that, we are gonna look at, again, you guys, not you guys, you're one of the groups that have actually gone up and down from 2017 to today. So you've kind of followed along with the rate of inflation, right? Because things, well, yeah, we're not getting into that. But, so there might be some room in there that after having looked at the budget, after having a good idea of what we need to spend money on there, then we might be able to come up with a better number.
Right.
Okay? I can pretty much guarantee, given the reaction, they're not gonna go up. you know, so, you coming here is all well and good, there's
It's
no,
good, and then we'll just go on. because
Yeah.
There's no sense worrying about something that didn't happen yet.
correct.
It was like.
If they're
when the
gonna
letter
give
came, it
us
was
the
like-
opportunity to take a look at this and make new numbers,
When the letter came, it was like, get a job.
well, there you go, okay.
Rodney, I don't think this is a question for you, but when does the next bill go out?
3 months.
Every quarter, first,
So it's,
about a week after the first quarter.
so it's billed in April?
April.
And so we think we could dial these in before then? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we just need the information, and again, your budget's adopted, yes or no?
Yes.
It is adopted, okay, all right, okay. I sit down.
Just sit right there in case someone, you and Bill, answer
Yeah,
the question.
if you're not standing at the mic, the video doesn't pick it up.
How are you? Andrew Corvino. I got a couple simple questions. I mean, some of these questions have drove me nuts since we got here. I ignored it because I didn't really care, but 30% increase, I care a little more.
Where do you live, sir?
Brewster Heights.
Okay.
So, my first question is, why do I pay for 18,000 gallons of water? 17.5, sorry. I use 6. What's with the pro rate?
That's old.
I mean, who invented the pro rate?
Is that your
I've been here
minimum?
5 months.
We haven't even looked at how you're billed yet.
So we're billed based on a 17,500 gallon
Minimum.
quarter minimum.
Minimum for the quarter.
I use 6,000 gallons at
The
max
whole quarter.
for the whole quarter, but I'm billed for 18.
Is that typical?
Yeah, that's usually a minimum.
Is it typical to be around 17,000?
Every place is different. Some are 9, some are 10, some are 20. So it's all different.
But
You'd be shocked how many different rates are on the state.
I mean, I'm only 2, so I would imagine an average family of 4 would be somewhere around the 12,000 mark. So, I mean, unless we're talking about a family of 6, 17.5 is a little high.
Yeah, I don't know how the rate we haven't.
Is that something that would be on the table
can
for
look at it,
review? Okay.
So, I mean, you do read the meters. Somebody reads the meters. So there should be a way to bill it by gallon, I would imagine, right?
Yep.
There should, but unless there's been an established,
There's a reason for a minimum.
yeah, that's why we have to find out what that is. Neither of us were here when that happened.
I wasn't either, probably.
Let me just explain that.
I mean, that's my biggest.
And like I said early on, and like,
There's a reason for a minimum, because there are costs that are the same no matter what. The electricity, the chemicals, the staffing, there's a set amount of money you need to keep the system running. And so normally you set the minimum to cover those fixed costs. And then the usage covers as they use more water, the electricity goes up, the chemical costs go up, and that's usually how the rate is established.
Right.
I have no idea how this rate was established.
So, but we could review it.
We'll review it. We certainly will review it. I mean, we can change the minimum to 9,000. So we pick that minimum because it generates a certain amount of revenue that we have to have,
Right.
okay?
Yep, that makes sense.
So Andrew, that wouldn't change the total bill for Brewster Heights, but if you feel you're a low user, it might change yours, but that means a high user is gonna pay more. But just, you always gotta keep in mind it stays in the Heights, so.
So I would assume someone's taking notes on this, but second question, why is Eagles Ridge lower than Brewster Heights? It's the same water district.
well, unfortunately, there's a certain amount, when they built those condominiums, some were metered and some were not.
Well, I mean, the unmetered ones you said were slightly more,
The part of
but the metered ones are less.
Just bring a chair next time.
I actually worked for the town from 1984 to 1997, and Eagles Ridge had its own public water supply, all right, independent of Brewster Heights. The Eagles Ridge water supply failed.
Was that those wells in the back?
Yep, it failed, so they had to buy into the district. So the capital that had, it's to cover the buy-in fee for all of the capital that had been invested previously that they hadn't contributed to.
Okay.
So that's why I believe there's a different rate.
So they have their own infrastructure?
They have their own infrastructure.
And their wells failed.
And, what'd you say?
Their wells failed back when.
Yeah, I'm just wondering to Andrew, and maybe this is a silly question, but at some point, all of the infrastructure needs to be maintained the same? Is that a fair
Yeah.
statement?
Yeah,
And then
but
should those-
their infrastructure is newer and in
Okay.
better condition than Brewster Heights.
Okay,
All right, so if one of the projects that we do is to replace the water main in Brewster Heights, because quite frankly, it's just, you have 6-inch main, which means it's not fire flow rated. I mean, it's cement asbestos pipe and it was put in 1960.
right.
From an engineering perspective, it's reached its useful life. I mean, that's rated for about 60 years, so we're getting it, we're close. So,
But to my point, it's all the same district, correct?
it's the same district,
So
but
the district's money pays for anything, then the district's money should all be the same.
I think the way this rate, and I don't know this for sure, the way I see this set up is if we did a project in Brewster Heights, that we wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't be charged for the capital portion of that project, the way I'm reading
Who,
this rate.
Eagles Ridge would?
Eagles Ridge,
But
yes.
if that pipe breaks, they don't have water, right?
If that pipe breaks in Brewster Heights,
Yeah.
well, no, because they have breaks over there all the time.
Oh, so that, it runs
Yeah, there's two
separately.
separate main feeds.
So they have their own kind of,
There's two
infrastructure
feeds.
cost?
Yeah, there's 2 feeds. At some point, we may be making a recommendation to consolidate them all.
Yeah, I was just getting, and I don't know anything about this, so maybe this is a silly question too, but if you were to increase like a sewer district, do the new people pay less?
The new people have a buy-in, like, Brewster Heights Sewer District, let's say a subdivision, 200 homes wants to
Additional?
come in.
Right.
They're gonna have to pay a buy-in fee.
Okay.
The buy-in fee is anywhere from $15 a gallon to $50 a gallon. That they would have to pay the district
Upfront is a one-time?
upfront. The developer would have to pay the district upfront for that taking to get into the district to,
So that could have been used back whenever?
yeah, I don't know if
to-
that happened
to
when they
fund-
came in.
Oh, okay.
It-
But it could have been used to fund improvements? I
Improvements.
guess. Yeah, okay. So you'll look at that for us as
Yep.
well?
What about Metro North? I think they're on our same water district
Metro
too.
North pays a fee, a substantial fee for treating their wastewater, $75,000.
But aren't they on the Heights Water District too?
No, not water, just sewer.
Water,
No, just sewer?
Yeah.
sewer,
And they pay 75,000?
75,000, yeah, something like that. And the city of New York pays 25% of the cost of the sewer plant also. At least 25.
See if I had any more questions. No, I think I'm good. So can we look into the fact that
No,
it,
we'll look at the rate making and try to understand how they came up with it and see if it's the best way to do it.
yeah, I mean, any little bit of clarity, I think, is a little more than we have right now. I mean,
that's a
that's
part
what
of
drives
our-
me nuts is that I'm looking at this bill and I'm like, well, I don't need all this water. I don't want all this water.
When the town
And I'm
board
paying for
hired
it.
us to come in, that's one of our charges, that's on our scope, is to look at the rate making and to determine if the way the rates are established now are correct, and if they're not, to make recommendations for better rates.
Last question. So is there a way for special districts to have meetings where this all gets discussed? Like, could this be worked
Absolutely.
into?
I used to meet with the special districts every quarter.
We could have
I'm cool
those
with that.
meetings at town board meetings, right?
Yeah.
You would give us an update, it would be on the agenda.
But now we have the internet, so we did back in the 90s, we didn't have a way to get the information out, but he's right, you're gonna have all the information, and you'll have.
Yeah, I went on that thing today. Everything's there except for these 2 new letters.
But you'll also have the ability to ask a question, right, Rod? You'll be able to ask a question on the website?
Do you want that?
No.
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 Every letter's on there except for
No.
They weren't on there this morning.
No, I don't understand. I just got the chance to do it yesterday.
They weren't
They're all there.
Did you say you didn't get the letter?
I got the letter.
Oh, okay.
Well,
wait.
he called me 5 seconds after he got it.
Maybe 6. I might
Next
give it-
person.
I might give it 3 years.
Hi, my name is Michael Davies. I live on Birch Hill Road. First of all, I want to thank these two gentlemen. I think they have cleared up a lot of things where we've been in the clouds and not know what's going on for the last week or so, so I definitely do thank you. On that point, I think communication that was handled by the town to us was very, very low. I mean, just to get the letter saying that your water bill is going to go up $150 every quarter without any notice whatsoever was not a very good way of handling it. So I'm hoping that communication will increase over the next months and find out if we can make changes into what we might have to pay. And, you know, if it comes down where we have to pay more, then you guys are providing the numbers, so we'll have to go with it. So,
Yeah, we'll have a better idea where those numbers came from.
yes, yes. Well, that would be good. Okay. But again, I just want to thank everybody and,
Thank you.
Corey Johnson from Brewster Heights, how are you? Corey Johnson. Yep, you're welcome. Tony, you said something that was a little concerning. You said a few things, but the number one thing is that you never know when these things are going to happen.
You don't.
Brewster Heights was built in the 50s, right?
50s,
And that
70s.
plant was built in the 60s?
No, that
Late
building, that plant
80s.
was built in 96.
Okay.
96.
Point being is, well, the line was made in the
The
60s.
water main that's up in
Right.
between the houses was
Right.
built in the
Right.
1962.
You can make a pretty good guess that something eventually might go wrong, right? Walter and I are realtors, and we deal with a lot of townhomes that have HOAs, right? A portion of that HOA is put aside in case something large comes up, right? They need to replace the roof, they need to do a special project like pave all the roads. What has been happening to a portion of our money each quarter that could have been put aside to pay for something like a large project? And I'm with this gentleman too. Thank you, by the way, gentlemen. You are,
We're trying.
yes, you are trying.
Water districts and sewer districts are limited how much of a fund balance they can maintain from year to year to do emergency. I mean, we should be able to maintain enough for water main breaks and things like that. But we're rebuilding one of the filters completely from the ground up. I mean, that's taking place as we speak. That's going to be expensive. I mean, probably going to be $50,000, $60,000. We couldn't have put that away for years on end to
Bill, is
fund
it-
that. That's the kind of a project that we would take a ban out, a bond anticipation note, borrow the money, pay it off, or to pay the contractors, and then you would roll that into a bond. So, I mean, that's how capital projects are funded.
And again, I don't think we...
Just Corey, go to the mic.
Yeah. Again, I don't think any of us are really worried about the quality of the work that's going to be going on from here on out,
Yeah.
from what you guys have said tonight, right? I don't think that's a concern. I think a lot of our concerns are what exactly has been going on before now,
And
right? Why is it all of a sudden that now we came up with this grand idea to apply for funding that might have 0% interest or, right, exactly it, yeah.
Well,
So more of a question to the town leadership in terms of why haven't we been doing these things that these gentlemen came up with these ideas for now?
Because the reports we got were not possibly accurate, when we learned of a problem, we tried to solve it.
So this was typically handled by the special districts,
Right,
and now these gentlemen are taking over that role.
right, but who's in charge of the special districts and who is managing these people that manage these systems?
They will be.
Thank you. Again, I am not concerned about these gentlemen here.
Well,
It
that's
seems
why
like
we
they know
brought them in,
exactly,
because there
these
was a
guys
problem.
know exactly what they're doing.
There was a problem in the past, and we made a decision, and that's why we hired them.
we can't really
We
talk about
can't go into the personnel matters.
I understand that, but can you concur that maybe having some creativity and fundraising isn't a huge leap from what these guys came up with?
That's why the
Really?
Change was made.
I guess the question would be, why did it take so long?
You know, none of us are water experts.
It
so-
doesn't have to do with water. It's not water, right? We have systems that need to be maintained. It costs a lot of money, right? Why is every dime coming out of the resident's pocket?
But
But
who else would pay?
It's the districts.
These guys came up with some pretty good ideas on how to pay for it.
Oh, you mean certain funding and stuff? like
Correct,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, these guys
Yeah.
are experts, and that's why we've chosen them.
So what you're saying is that before now, we really haven't had an expert on staff
And that's why
to
we
help
hired-
us.
We felt there was need for the experts, and that's why we went out.
Corey, it's
This
not
is
like
kind of new to us.
It's not like we had somebody that we knew. You know, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but
Neither do I, but
you know,
So-
it's like it's not like we knew all of this was going on. Again, we're not. If I walked into a water plant, I wouldn't know infrastructure, 60-year-old pipes. I mean, there was an issue. As soon as we figured it out, we dealt with it, and we hired these gentlemen.
right. But all of those issues cost money, and again, we know that these aging systems were going to require work, right? I don't think any of us here are fighting that the work needs to be done, right? And we know that this work needs to be done, right? It's about the funding. Every dime, and if these guys weren't here, every dime was going to be coming out of our pockets.
But they are here. I mean,
Right.
okay.
But I guess it just has to be said that whatever leadership was going on between the past and now, it's questioned by a lot of people. And I think we answered the rest of my questions already, so. Thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, good evening, board. Can you guys hear me, or?
Not real, but. go
Okay,
ahead.
good evening, and good evening, gentlemen. Walter Sadowski, Brewster Heights. So my question is, Walter Sadowski, S-A-D-O-W-S-K-I. So I heard something earlier also that districts can't run in a debt. So I just heard 7 districts are running in debt.
No, one district's for 7 years.
Okay, one district for 7 years. How does that occur if it can't run in debt? And since no other entity can pay for it, where did the funds come to meet that debt?
They had to have borrowed the money.
From where? How do you borrow?
We haven't gotten.
I know you
I
haven't.
don't know the answer to
So
that.
that's a question because it's told that towns and somebody can't contribute to another district. It's solely the responsibility of the owners, except somebody borrowed money somewhere. If that's possible, then why can't every district do
We could
that?
have done a fund balance transfer, which is borrowing from one fund to the other.
And who would be,
Which is what-
Then they have to-
That's what was
so
done.
They can borrow from it, but they have to give it back
With interest.
with interest. I don't know,
Oh.
we haven't gotten in, I have no idea how that was done.
okay, well, Corey did ask the
We're
other.
gonna figure it out.
Okay, well, and I'd appreciate that because if it's possible for it to be done for one, I can't see why it can't be done for another.
Well, now we're talking,
About the 7, there's capital debt, they took a loan. That's not the same as being in the red, we realize.
Okay, well, I had heard that there was several running in the red. Right, and it wasn't.
Those are the operation costs.
Right, and it wasn't audited by New York State, and we don't know how that didn't happen either. So obviously, there's some kind of error occurring there.
Well, New York State didn't really do anything during COVID.
Well, was it prior to COVID also?
Haven't.
But by what you can see so far, did it also occur prior to COVID?
I haven't got to the budget, it was more on the budget.
Well, Walter, just one quick thing. Even if, you know, we did figure out how to do a fund loan or transfer, like he said, ultimately that wouldn't help you because you'd have to pay it back with
That's
interest.
right.
So you're just deferring
That's right.
your
So,
expense.
so what happens is,
Maybe I was unclear. It didn't sound like it was like borrowed from somewhere, just like, oh, it's running in the red, 24,000 if it's Birch Hill or, whatever.
yeah, let me explain. When we said it's running in the red, it means that the revenues that they're bringing in through the rates and the sale of water is lower than the expenditures. Okay, so 3 years ago, it's in the red for that one. So what normally you do is you set a rate the next year that's high enough to cover your future expenses plus what you owe from last year. I've only looked at a few of them, but I didn't see that happen. So I don't know how they paid that yet. Okay. We'll get there.
All right. My next question is, so you guys have been brought on. Or do we have a contract with these gentlemen or this company for how long?
Our contract is a scope contract. It's as long as it takes for us to do it. And what our contract is to go to each facility and do an engineering analysis on each facility and determine what it's going to take to bring them into compliance with Part 5, which is the sanitary code that regulates water systems and the wastewater facility.
Okay, so you guys will not be the long-term administrator of...
I'm different than him.
Okay, so you'll be on for 3 years as the administrator of the special districts?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're just here as
I'm just here as an expert.
right, to determine scopes of work and then costs, so on and so forth. Okay, because I was a little unclear. I thought you
And then we'll make a
gentlemen...
design, and then ultimately, there's going to be a design and a construction project, and we're going to take old equipment out and put new equipment in and bring it up to standard and establish the way it should be operated. And
Okay, so you'll be gone once all that work is completed. You will remain for at least 3 years.
Yes.
Okay, that's...
Not me, I mean.
Well, I just wasn't sure, it was a little weird to me that you hire the company to fix it and then they stay on. So I have found when you bring in the inspector to do the work, there's always a problem, Oh, yeah, there's problems here, so we're gonna have to spend $1 million to fix something. So, okay, you guys are separate entities, you're the administrator. Okay, I have no other questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel Whitehead. I live on Birch Hill Road. Had a couple of questions. Can you tell me how long these PFOAs have been in the water? Approximately?
these chemicals have been around since the early 1970s.
But it's specifically in the Birch Hill Road.
There's no way to tell. But we do know that they've been prolific throughout the environment, and my guess is that at Birch Hill, they've probably been there ever since there was that. I'm assuming there was a car fire someplace that they put it out with firefighting foam, because we always try to figure out where it's coming from. I know there's a landfill over on the other side. Landfills are another source, right? But most likely along highways like Route 22, there was probably a fire there that they put out with firefighting foam. But there's just no way to know.
Didn't they lower the threshold too? Like, weren't we testing for these things?
No. The testing just started 2 years ago.
Okay, and didn't they lower the parts per trillion?
No, what happened was the federal government had a recommended health standard of 70 parts per trillion. No law, just a recommended health. There are many chemicals that are dangerous and carcinogenic that we don't know about yet. All right, that we don't test for. The ones we test for are the ones that have risen to, that have become well known as harmful. Right?
Bill, didn't Birch Hill just fail for the first time last year, though?
It was the first time the test was run.
Okay.
So,
Very expensive test.
yeah. So when New York State established the 10 parts per trillion, what they said was every well at every public water supply must be sampled quarterly. So your operators began doing that, and they collected the data, And then after that year, it was determined who was over the 10 parts per trillion and who was under. Our recommendation has always been to our clients that anything between a 5, anything above a 5, we recommend treatment, because what we've seen now is that 5 becomes a 10, then it becomes a 5, then it becomes a 15, and the numbers go up and down. And that's based on how much water is in the aquifer, how much dilution there is. But because of the way these chemicals react and affect the body, once you intake them, they stay in your body for a minimum of 6 years. So they're biologically magnified. They don't go down. So the only way you can prevent them is to eliminate the reservoir, which is what treatment does. You cut it off, now you're not taking anything in, and your body will eventually process them.
So I think to her concern, the water's not worse now than it was. We
We
just
don't,
know
yeah,
about
and
it.
we don't, we can only go back, I think a year and a month, or, yeah, we've only been sampling that long.
And so the level that it's at right now, is that a pretty serious level? Like, should we in the community consider purchasing drinking water while we're waiting for this treatment facility?
The village of Hoosick Falls, when it was discovered in their water, their numbers were extremely high, 2,000 parts per trillion, right? The company that it was determined was responsible was made to purchase bottled water for them, all right? I can tell you what I would do. I would buy bottled water, all right? But I have cancer, all right? I already have it, so I have to be careful. If I had a little kid, I'd want them to drink bottled water. If you have a water softener, water softeners do remove it, all right? Through ion exchange, it does remove it. It lowers the level. That's one of the acceptable treatments. It doesn't take it to 0, but it does lower it. I mean, you could have a 5 or a 2 or a 1, all right? What we're telling you is the well itself, what those levels are. And I believe we're around a 12 parts per trillion, 12 or 15. I've seen them much higher than that, all right? I've seen 25s, I've seen 125s. You know, I've seen very high, but I've also made recommendations to clients with a 2.5 part per trillion because of just the way the chemical doesn't leave the body.
Okay. Just 2 more quick questions, I think. So the well is located on the edge of our property. When this water treatment plant or facility is built, where is that going to go?
So one of the issues we have at that facility is the district doesn't own any property that can house the footprint of the treatment. The town of Southeast owns a lot at the end of Highview?
Yes.
On the right,
Yep.
down there. If we're going to build a treatment plant, we will probably build it down there.
Okay.
All right? If we go with point of use, which is the filtration systems, it's really like just having a water softener in your house, but it works, and that's what I have. I mean, it takes the chemical out, but there will be sampling, so we'll have to prove it. I mean, I believe that. I mean, we would have never asked for point of use if we didn't think it was the best thing for the customers. All right, so if they agree to that, it's probably going to be the fastest solution because we can get on that quickly. I mean, I could see us if they agreed to that. I could see it only taking probably 6 months to get everybody filtered.
Okay, and then with this treatment plant, what size are we talking about?
So the building would probably be a 30 by 30 building. And in that building would be a series of filters and pumps. The design of the system would be different, where we would run the well pumps we'd run new lines from where the wells are, and we bring those wells into that building. And then that would run through three series of treatment, and then into a tank, and then we'd pressurize the main from there. So.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Now, Bill, with,
Sorry, go ahead.
okay, with something like that, how soon if the DOH says no to what you're proposing round one, okay, and you have to go to round two, how soon would you be able to get a cost estimate of that? Because
Well, we'll be able to get a cost estimate, within a month, probably.
Okay. And then whatever that number is, you're gonna have to divide it by...
Whatever that number is, we're gonna write an engineering report, and we're gonna make an application for a grant.
Right. Now, how does that take place? I mean, how long does it take to possibly get the grant? You got 24...
So
whatever
all
is-
grant, this year we're looking, and they haven't told us, right? The state, they don't ever tell us when. It used to be in September, the applications had to be in by. Last year, it was in June. So we're gonna assume it's June. So we'll have the application and the engineering report and the submittal package, and there'll be things that the board has to pass, and that'll all be ready before we make that submission. We make that submission, and we'll probably hear in September if it's been funded or not. There's only so much money, and they decide, and who gets funded and who doesn't get funded, and
So right now, the estimate for that particular
the
district is...
fastest way to go is with point of use.
Right.
That's the
You
fastest
said
way
that
to
and
go.
support it, but the thing is now,
Because there you put a whole house filter in, you put a backup to that, and now you're covered.
yeah.
All right?
But the bottom line here, this district will be responsible for the entire cost. You're gonna do the best you can to lower
To
it
reduce the capital
big
cost.
time. And it's divided by 24, and if it's a 20-year loan or whatever, then...
Whatever,
30.
bonded out over 30 years, I'm sure we'll get a 0% interest. I mean,
We know you're gonna do the best you can
Yep.
to lower the cost, but 24 people are paying for it.
That's right.
Which would make it higher than the average.
Yep.
Okay.
Bill, can I just ask you one question about Birch Hill? I think it's probably normal for a water district to have like the water main in the street and go to each house.
Mm-hmm.
Birch Hill, I think it travels through everybody's property, like one neighbor, I happen to know, his neighbor cut his water line, I think, once, so,
yeah, God knows, I mean.
Is that something that would get
It's
fixed
a
with the
developer-built
plans?
water supply, all right, which means
We don't know what it is.
they probably,
Well, my question just is that something that would get
We'll figure it
fixed
out.
if you did a new plant, or that would probably stay, the distribution?
We'll figure out how the distribution system is set up, and any part of it that doesn't meet Part 5 of the New York State Sanitary Code will be upgraded. We have to follow Part 5. It's just the law that covers drinking water.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Bill, one more question. For those that have the PFOS, and I think you mentioned this to me, and I've done it, you can get a reverse osmosis.
You can put RO in,
Yep.
or you can go out and buy a whole house filter,
Carbon.
a granular activated whole house filter, and follow the manufacturer's recommendations for flow. And it's literally, it's 20 inches by 4 inches. I would do it in series. I would put 2 in, all right? And one flows into one and out the other and into the other one. And that will, I don't say it's gonna bring it to zero, but it'll bring it pretty close to zero. And you just follow what the manufacturers say. Once you put it in, the cartridges themselves, I mean, they're probably $60.
Right.
And they probably last 6 months.
Okay.
Bill,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, that's like the big blue filter?
The big ones though, yeah, the 20 inches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bill, I just have one more question before. Now, you were saying...
Come up a little bit closer.
Okay, all right, I know, it's just like, you were talking about their wells being contaminated, okay? And you were talking about the PS whatever.
PFOAs.
How is that in Brewster Heights? Like you said, we should go out and get water.
No.
Okay,
So-
that's
so-
all I want to know.
Yeah, so Brewster Heights is a surface water supply. We take from the New York City reservoir.
Right.
And surface water supplies, generally don't have the contamination that groundwater has, all right? The numbers are either non-detect or well down below 1 or 2. So I don't remember what the number was, but I know it's, yeah. It's extremely low, and most surface supplies are 0.
Right, yeah, I just wanted to know that, because when you said, I wouldn't drink your water, you know.
I actually would drink Brewster Heights water.
No, all right, Brewster Heights, but I'm talking about the other place that, you know, with the wells and
Yeah.
everything. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Stanley Young. I'm Birch Hill Water. And is it possible, I know we run a big debt in our water system, but those wells were revamped a couple of years ago. And I want to know if both wells were tested for the PFOAs.
Yes, they were.
Individually?
Yep.
Okay, so is one
And
always
they all
feeding?
have it.
They do. So one be one feeding the other.
They're both drawing from the same, they're both connected
Yeah.
hydraulically.
Yeah.
They're drawing from the same aquifer. It's the aquifer that's contaminated.
It is the aquifer, okay. It wouldn't be the pipe in between the two that was laid? Because you
Yeah.
said the PFOAs are
Yeah, 'cause
Teflon,
there's some places
those
where you
pipes
have
usually
two-
coated
Some places
inside?
where you have 2 wells, one has it, one doesn't. What we do is turn the bad one off. We
Right,
don't
that's
have
what I
that.
was wondering, okay,
We don't have that luxury here, sorry.
thank you.
Just 2 comments. One, if you're not signed up for the alerts, go to the town board website, and on the top left, you can hit that button and sign up for.
Town clerk,
What?
town clerk's website. It's a town's website, but it comes in under you, no?
Oh, no, it has its own button right here.
What is that? Oh,
Top.
for the emergency notification.
Yeah, so you can go there and sign up specifically for your district or other districts. And research PFOS, because a lot of the stuff you probably have in your house has it, like non-stick pans, which I recently threw out.
Gore-Tex.
Gore-Tex, yeah.
And just on that, you know, there's been a nickname I don't think Bill mentioned called Forever Chemicals, and you've probably heard that in the news. So Google Forever Chemicals, and you'll probably get plenty of articles as well.
Go rent the movie Dark Waters. Seriously.
Okay. Anyone else?
You know what the worst part of it is? DuPont, who is being sued by everybody for this, is the leading manufacturer for the treatment of removing it.
Can't make it one way, do another. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Nick Durante. I actually live on the other side of town. If Brewster Heights is coming from the reservoir, why can't Birch Hill come from the reservoir? It's not that far away.
It is though.
It is.
I mean, it costs $250 a foot to put water main in along a state highway, and you start doing that. I mean, I'm looking at running a water main from Dean's Corners, from Fortune Homes, their public water supply, and it's 1,600 feet, and when I do the math, it's cheaper to fix the water, it's cheaper to do the filtration.
Anyone else? Okay, we're going to go into the second part of the work session, and that's an update from the Recreation Department. Pardon?
Are we done?
I believe you've answered everyone's questions. I'm happy, and thank you very much.
Thank you, yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And of course, if anybody has questions, just reach out to me and we'll get them answered.
We'll forward them to you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Kathy?
No, I didn't. I think everybody else covered it pretty well today, but I thank you for all your
Yeah.
information.
Thank you both.
Good evening.
I couldn't hear what you said.
Can you hear it?
I know. Maybe lower the
give
mic
it-
a little more down.
Give it 1 minute while they filter out.
Okay, can you hear me though? Does
You're
it?
talking really low.
First of all,
I'm just talking like
so
it's a
you know,
microphone.
It's just recording, it's not amplifying.
Oh, okay, so then
That's why.
that's why. Okay, I'm here, I'm thinking it's a microphone, I don't
No,
want to
no,
yell.
it's just recording.
Okay.
Okay.
So it doesn't help. with
You're
the-
losing your audience, but we'll stay.
That's that's okay.
Okay, Baker?
Okay, just to give you all an
I
update.
would wait until everybody.
In the back, could you please go out into the hallway so we can continue our meeting? Rodney? Rodney?
Bill,
Folks, could you move out to the lobby if you're going to have a conversation?
Rodney Brown. In the back, could you just go out into the hall? Thank you. We've been waiting all night for this report.
You should have put Kathy first.
That's what I said.
Please.
Okay, so just to give you an update on everything that's going on, recreation facilities, all the parks, that kind of thing. I'm going to go over the parks first and what we've been doing in them. Castle Park, I'm sure you guys have seen a huge change in it over the last couple of years. We have the entrance to the playground, the towers. They're hopefully going to be finished by June. They're going to connect the towers together, and then there's going to be two smaller ones at the other entrance. The handball court is going to be blacktopped and fenced in the spring. That's that cement wall you see next to the basketball court.
Handball and pickleball?
Handball, pickleball, wall ball.
Pickleball in there, okay.
Yep. You could practice your tennis stroke on it. If you don't got anybody to hit with, you can go there. We're also looking at ways to seal the surface on the cement to make it smooth, so that you don't have the grooves from the cement blocks.
Is that graffiti proof?
It is not graffiti proof, unfortunately.
Put some Teflon on that.
For the playground parking lot, we're going to be blacktopping that. Highway's going to do that, and we're also going to stripe it. We have the new signs commemorating the Castle Park volunteers. I don't know if anybody's been up there recently, but we had the Castle Park had signs on them for everybody that donated their time or money to getting Castle Park built, and we took those signs, had them cleaned, finished, refurbished. I took pictures of the old, before they took it down, I took pictures of the old playground, and we had a sign made up to commemorate that playground set. So that has actually been installed. There's also a new sign just that will say Castle Park, that'll go up in the spring. The Lions Pavilion sign was redone, that we finally got put up. We have walking trails that go up behind Castle Park. We've been putting some wood chips up there to try to markate them. We have a gentleman, his name is Matt. He lives in the town. He does a lot of bike riding and stuff up there in the trails, so he's going to help me mark them. And then we're going to do distance markers, so that when people walk and have like a sign at the beginning, we're hoping to do, so that people know like where they can walk up there. Because you can go pretty far around. I've gone up myself. We're also at the very beginning of the driveway, I want to call it, that leads up to the walking trails that runs alongside the playground, where the posts are with the rope, the fence that goes there. We're going to be putting a removable bollard there because we've been having kids on quads and things like that riding their bikes up there, so we're hoping this will help kind of prevent that a little bit. We don't want anybody to get hurt up there. So that's Castle Park. At the beach, we are looking to put a deck on the back of the bathrooms, so that will go out towards the water. We had, it was last year, I think it was last year. We had an engineer design it. Now we have to find someone to actually build it.
Just curiosity, how big is it?
20 by 40.
Okay.
Yeah, nice size. It'll be ramps up. It won't be steps up, so it'll be handicap accessible in that respect. We do have the blacktop walkway and stuff that people can get there to it. So that's actually, I have that up on the website right now, looking for bids. Don't have anybody, but we're looking. We'll have, if we don't get anybody reasonable, maybe we'll look at some other options as far as getting it done. We had the main dock that's there. We just had that redone, and it has what do they call it? Composite decking. So because it had all splintered, and the nails kept popping up, and we had carpet in between, and the carpet kept breaking, and a couple people like fell in between them. So we had it all. Now it looks like one long deck, even though it's sectioned pieces. There's no spaces anymore. So it's all composite decking. It looks beautiful. It matches. It's a similar grade to what's right by like the snack shed area. We do need to look at the wooden playset that's down there. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed it. It's behind the bathrooms to the left of the basketball court. I know that our insurance doesn't like us to have wooden play structures. This play structure has been there since my kids were little. It's a residential play structure. It's reached its use. We do have 2 other play things there. So actually Patty and I were talking, we were thinking maybe a swing set would be nice there, just like two for babies, 2 for the youth type of thing, similar to like the yellow or red one that's at Castle Park, something like that.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Is there tetherball up there?
There is tetherball up there.
Okay, I remember that was my
Yep, there is.
favorite thing to do there.
When you were a kid 5 years ago?
And it's still kids' favorite thing to do, especially during swimming lessons.
Yeah.
They always have competitions with that. So that's one thing that we're looking at. I also every year since I've been here, in the spring, right before we open up, I go in with a rake that's like one of those ones you use when you like rake a ball field. So it's those metal ones. They're really long and they got the spikes like this. And I go in and I drag the beach, the muck in in the water.
Yeah.
Trying to clear it up so that when the beach opens, it's nice and clear. Landscaping people are doing their bids right now, and somebody actually said to me, "Oh, we do that for Putnam Valley." I go, "You what?" He showed me the rake that you can get for it and everything. So I would like, rather than myself do it this year, hire someone to actually do that. So I'm going to look to see how much it would cost to actually have someone do it, because it is extremely time consuming.
Kathy, that's a once-a-year thing?
I just do it. I only do it once a year. They do it once a month for Putnam Valley. I don't think it's necessary. I think that the lake looks beautiful all summer long. But if you don't do it, the first part of June really looks mucky. So it really does help. And I notice that when I swim out to the floats and stuff with the kids, you can start to feel the seaweed coming up. So it does need to be kind of cleaned out. So I don't get that deep. This would get deeper. The pole is like 11 feet long, and the guy said that, yeah, we just have them swim out there, drag it in, and dump it. That works great for me. So that's something that I'm looking at getting a quote for. At Scolpino and Volunteer, we have a drainage issue. The first field at Scolpino between second and third base, and the big field at Zimmer it rains and it's like you might as well put Noah's Ark out there. It's a mess. It does need a permanent fix. So we have met with Little League where I had thought that they had somebody that was like an engineer type person that could look at it and tell us what do we need, but they don't feel that person is actually the right person for it. So we may have to actually close those fields early next fall and actually have somebody look at it and see what we can do about getting it fixed. In the meantime, I'm going to have Mark move the clay that we have in the existing bins over there to build it up so that at least some of the water runoff will run hopefully into the outfield and not stay on the infield.
And, excuse me, Kathy, and
Yes.
Eric and I were with somebody the other day, and I know he sent you an email.
Yeah, Alex,
So
yeah.
that's the fix, but you
It's
don't
a
think
temporary
it's...
fix.
Okay.
It's a temporary fix. It is not a permanent fix.
And maybe this is a question for Mike or something, but there is a lip, and I guess building up the clay will help, but does that lip need to kind of get shaved off?
So the lip will get cut off in the spring when Smitty starts. That's one of the things. He started doing it in the fall.
Okay.
And he'll finish that up in the spring. But yes, that is bringing that up is going to make those lips very minimal. Up on the little field, I think when we talked to Little League, they'd like to see it go up 2 inches. So, and then the big field, it needs a lot. So I'm figuring with what we have in all the bins, we should be able to do big and little Zimmer. And in the spring, we'll just have, we haven't ordered clay since I've been here. So.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is a question for you or
What?
maybe like, I don't know, Michael or something, but there's a bathroom there, and
Yes.
there's no water or sewer, and
Correct.
that was supposed to come from TerraVest.
still coming,
It's still-
and they're getting much closer.
So they, I think they're fully approved now. Soon, like, we don't have to wait for them to build out TerraVest before we get that, right? When they pull
No.
their building permit, is that like the first thing?
Well, that's up to the developer. We're in contact with them now.
Okay.
It's closer than it's been. Unfortunately, it's been like 3 years we've been waiting, but.
Because I understand the clay disappears a lot because they can't wet it.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know anything about baseball.
So the clay, no, I mean, the clay disappears when you're dragging the fields, and if you don't know how to drag it properly, then sometimes it does get pushed down the back. When it rains, sometimes people will push that clay out into the outfield to get rid of the puddles that are in the infield instead of digging a drain. Smitty digs a drain and uses a shop vac and vacuums it and takes it off the field and dumps it, rather than push the water into the outfield. So a lot of times you lose it because of that.
And last year we had the problem, unfortunately, the one day Smitty was off, that didn't get
The
done.
week Smitty was off, I told Little League that Smitty's off, so I'm not gonna be able to do the field. And they ran a clinic on that Saturday, and it had rained, and the field looked like a mess. I felt bad.
And there's power at the bathroom?
There is power,
Electric's coming in.
there's
No,
electric
there's a
I
meter.
thought it was at the bathrooms, but nowhere else. It's not at the bathrooms?
Where
No,
at?
there is a meter.
There is,
at-
there is electric at that building.
Yeah.
Is there? Under
Yeah, at the building, but we need, that's one of the things that's on my list. We do need to get outlets to the actual fields, because Little League uses the electric, like at the other fields, when they'll run pitching machines, or, you know, different things that they do. It's helpful, and if we can get water to the fields, that's helpful.
How does that work? Like, if once they get water to the bathrooms and sewer, we would need to run a pipe and electric up to the little field up
Yep.
top?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mike Burdick, you know, he's been in contact with the developer with the water line and the sewer line.
Okay.
Yep.
And they're gonna run it from the building toward the road, and then he'll connect down the road to where they are.
Okay.
So that's gonna take care of.
We've got, what?
No, go ahead. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay. So we've also gotten pricing for netting at Scolpino and at Zimmer, because the first field, there's netting along the road, but there's no netting in the parking lot, and it will just save people's cars, obviously, if we have the netting there.
And I don't mean to bombard you with all these questions
That's
that are coming
okay.
to mind. Did I hear the dugouts at?
my next.
Okay, well, then I won't take your thunder for that.
That's
And
okay.
then the backstop. I
Yep,
know what I'm
that's,
talking
that's,
about.
that's on my list for
All right,
for Zimmer.
It's
Yep.
in there.
I'm still
All
on
right,
Scolpino.
All right,
I
all right.
promise I'll get to Zimmer next. Some of it does overlap. So at Scolpino, the first field has cement slab, the second field does not, so we want to add a cement slab, extend both dugouts, I believe it would be another 7 feet, and then enclose them. So we would do a course of concrete along the bottom, and then do a wood structure with some windows for ventilation through, and put a bench inside, just to give it more of a real ball field feel, at both there and at Zimmer. We want to do that. At Zimmer, we don't have any cement at all on any of it, so that slab has to get done, and the dugouts themselves. We are also looking, I have to measure the outfield at Zimmer, the big Zimmer, so we could put the markers for how many feet. Right now, one of the areas, and I believe it's in left field, is not regulation size. So what we did, and the little field had the same problem. I had it measured, and we added fencing in the back to mimic the correct footage. So it should be a 300-foot fence. I believe one of them is either 170 or 180.
270?
Yeah, I mean 270 or 280. So we would add fencing up to mimic that so that it's more of a regulation field. The school actually had said something to us, because they couldn't, when they were redoing their fields, they could play there for a regular game, but when it came to sectionals, they couldn't play there because it wasn't a regulation size.
And I knew the difference between 170 and 270, because I couldn't get past
yes.
170.
Yes. We also want to put scoreboards at Zimmer as well, once we have electric running around. They don't have any scoreboards right now. So that's something else that we were looking at
And
doing.
all this is going out to RFP, by the way.
Yeah.
You think Ace Endico, and I don't even know if you could do this, so it's not like.
Would
a shakeout.
donate?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they did donate a play structure to Castle Park, so
Yeah.
they might.
Okay.
They put a sign up there.
We'll put the scoreboard, make it their advertising.
Like the one in Markel used to say Pepsi. So those are some of the main things. And then, like I said, at volunteer, we want to do the, I said about the netting, the concrete. There's also the backstop. It's a very deep backstop. And when you hit a foul ball going straight back, most of the time it goes over. So we're looking at putting additional section on the top that kind of leans out forward. So that will help prevent some of those balls from going into the parking lot as well.
That's on both fields.
That's correct.
Wasn't there an issue, like, at the bottom of the fence, though, or something? Or
We'll take care
So
of
yes, that all has to be fixed too. There are some, the fencing, I actually had to yell at Little League because I think they do a lot of soft toss into the front toss right into the fence, because you can see little dent marks all over. So I did have a talk with them because even one of the signs that were put up by a business has dimples in it from balls getting hit on it. So that's a lot of that problem is from that. It's also, from years it starts to curl up. But yes, we're going to be looking at doing the fencing there too. Hookup, distant markers, electric, new scoreboards. Yes.
How much would lights cost on that field?
300,000.
Yes, yeah, so I think the ones down at Scolpino were that much.
But those lights are
But these
perfect.
have to be higher because it's a bigger field.
Could put in a.
So you have to remember that. So you have to remember there's people around, so I don't know.
Okay, just curious.
It would be beautiful,
Because
totally
isn't that
agree.
like one of the only fields that's a certain size or something?
It's not, that's why they're correcting it, making the fence higher, whatever. It will be,
But then it will be.
It is our only full-size field for the older kids, yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Right now we have also out for bid is obviously landscaping. The contract is up with the company that has it currently. So I've had a bit of interest on that. So we'll see what happens with that. Markel, since it's not ours anymore, technically, if we are to continue maintaining it, the one thing I would say is the yellow topper to the fencing, has a lot of holes in it and could probably be replaced.
Is that expensive?
No, it's actually not too bad. I was surprised. I mean, I only looked at a couple of places, but it's not horribly expensive.
Okay.
I mean, not like tens of thousands of dollars type of thing.
Okay.
What else? Oh, the ball field sign program that we have going on. We currently have 28 companies with signs all over our ball fields. We had a total of about $8,800 in money brought in from that, and I have already have two people that want to new companies that want to have signs. I just got to figure out where to put them. So that was something that's
Tell them we
good.
only have room for scoreboards.
I know. That's not I actually have a guy that probably would do that, now that I think about it, if he could get his name on it, but I'm not sure we want We Sue New York City on there, so.
Kathy, the signs, well, how much is the sign? And is
$200.
that is it an annual fee or you pay
An
and
annual
you get
fee.
a sign?
Nope,
Okay.
annual fee. I just sent out the notifications for them in
And they
January.
pay for the sign.
Yep.
Thank you.
People, I mean, they think it's fantastic that they're so reasonable, so. We do have Blackberry Pool that, we need to look at also. I just was getting pricing for, there are 3 steps that go down to the actual pool area from the building. And there's no railing, and it is very long, so we looked at getting railing in there. So I have a couple of prices on that. It's not too bad. It's a couple thousand.
Sorry, is that self-funded?
So that would be part of the water district.
Okay,
Yep,
just curious.
Yep. So I am looking at that, and obviously, before we do anything, obviously, approval. I also am looking at people we had carpet tiles donated by Peter Doman. I don't even know how many years ago. Peter goes, I can't remember when I gave it to them. But there's enough in there to redo the carpet in the party room. So it's glue carpet though, so you can't just have any, you can't just rip up and take down because the other stuff was glued on. So I have I called a couple of carpet companies to see what they could do for me, so I'm just waiting to meet with them and see what we can do about that. In the spring, I would like to have I could probably have Mark do it, but to have the cement power washed, because it's black. So I think it would really it would make it less slippery in the summer. So I was looking at doing that. The basketball and tennis ball courts, they have black stuff on them, and they really need to be washed.
At Blackberry?
So,
Okay.
yeah. Another thing that, would be a nice addition, but it's just a small thing, is putting a slop sink in the kitchen for when they have their parties. They don't wash their party stuff in the bathroom sink. They can have a slop sink type of thing to wash it in.
Kathy, just curious, do they, like, if you propose these, do they have to agree, or?
I don't know. These are things, I went up there and said, there's a lot of things we could do up here that really could use it.
Okay, just curious.
The gutters need to have the leaves taken out of them, things like that. The parking lot needs to be striped. We did put handicap signs up there because there weren't handicap signs before. And then there were some faded signs like, no parking here and, that kind of stuff.
So question on so are the spaces actually ADA compliant?
They will be. There's no lines right now at all.
So
We just reserve the first two signs right now in the correct, where they need to be once they're striped, but they're not
do
actually
they have
striped yet.
the accessible aisle between the two
Yep.
spaces?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep,
for
yep.
van access, okay.
Yep. We measured out for all of that.
Perfect,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. So that's it with kind of facilities type stuff. Now for recreation, before I go into the stuff that we're doing, the Cultural Arts Coalition approached me. And the summer concert series that they do down at Electrazone. They would prefer not to do it down there this summer. They'd like to do it at Kessel Park. I told them we don't have electric. And they said, well, maybe could they get it from the building if they do it in the field behind the building?
Where would they do it?
That little field that we put in.
You know the field that's
yeah.
behind the building that we've been seeding and mowing and stuff?
But
It's
that
looking
does-
good now.
But that does pose a problem.
So-
there's a lot of residents around there, music and things of that
Exactly.
nature.
So you're right on the lake, which causes, your sound carries even more. I don't know. That's, I'm letting you guys know because they asked me. They also asked if they could use the lake, and I said no to that because I don't want people, they want to do it from, I think they said like 7 to 8:30. And it means we'd have to have lifeguards on duty. You don't want people swimming when it's dark. It's not conducive to having that type of thing.
Now, the village has got Wells Park, which is hardly ever used. They
Correct.
have like a theater area type thing.
Yeah.
And I would suggest
they used to do
approach
things there, and I don't know why they stopped. I don't have any idea.
Maybe they like us better.
I
them. Yeah,
don't
'cause we
know.
do it for free almost.
Maybe we're less expensive. I don't know.
Did they express why they wanted to move away from Electrazone?
She didn't know. She just said they just wanted to. I spoke with Katie Fave, and she also asked if we would do them with her, advertise for her, but not get anything out of it. Everything would go to them. I said,
Yeah,
we
it's a
can't do that.
slippery slope.
That we can't do that. She goes, well, other towns do. And I said, actually, they don't work with someone else. They do it for themselves. They actually run it. And so that she, dropped that at that point. But that is something that may come up, just so you know. As far as our programs going on, we are doing pickleball through the pickleball barn at the Hardscrabble Club. That's going on right now for adults and for kids. We start our spring laser tag league, our spring tennis. We have a babysitting course that we're offering, field hockey. We're working with the Brewster Central. We did 2 so far with the Brewster Central School District. They approached us and asked us to run a program on some half days that they have for professional learning. So we just finished our second one, and it was successful. We had like a little over 100 kids each time, so it was a lot of fun. The first time we had a lady come that had animals, and so she talked about them. And this time we had a science guy come, but we did crafts, and we were in the gym, and I don't know, they were very appreciative. They brought the kids home afterwards, the bus did.
My
They-
daughter did that, and she loved it, so
Yeah.
well done.
Yes, she was at both of them. So we're working on the third one with them, and then the end of this month, we start working on that with them on our Swim and Learn program for the summer, the 6-week Swim and Learn program. We got to talk to them about if they can provide transportation again, what can they do for lunch, can they give it to us, would it, that kind of thing.
They got grant money for that, right?
They did.
But they don't anymore?
I don't know.
Oh,
They,
okay.
you know what, every year, it's kind of one of those, let's
Yeah.
find out. So we start our first meeting the end of the month.
Okay.
So I'll
Gotta
let
wait
you
for
know
the
how it
state
goes with that. My rec is moving along. He's actually started to set up our site. I got a username and password for access, but obviously you don't really do that much yet. He did put a couple of the programs on it. We are moving football over there. Football was on its own site, but the sport, it's called Sports something. I don't remember exactly what it's called.
And just in case anyone watches, MyRec is
MyRec is an online registration system.
in payment, right?
Yep, online registration, payment, all of that, yep.
Awesome.
Yep, you put you can, it's for adults, kids, it doesn't matter, we have all of, any program that we run, do reservations for ball fields, for the tennis courts,
And
all of that stuff.
once you're in it, right, you're in it, and then you don't have to like re-enter.
No, you never have to
Like
re-enter
when
your
I put my daughter
information.
in-
As a matter of fact, when your child moves up to the next grade, it automatically does that for you.
Awesome.
So that next year, when you look at your child in September, it'll say now they're in second grade if they were in first grade, which I thought was kind of neat. So they'll be doing that. It'll be great because the basketball program that we run, we have all different teams. The coaches can have access to their team and like text them and stuff like that. They can't text back, which I thought they could, so that was kind of a bummer, but at least they can shoot email blasts and text blasts. Just,
Probably better than
it could be, yes, absolutely. But that's really cool. It'll also schedule the games for you. So we don't have to sit there and rack our brains saying, did everybody play everybody? So I like that. Minds in Motion is going on. Cheer and football registration starts, we opened the registration in March, but it really goes on April. And May is when we do our in-person registration, when the kids get sized for their uniforms and stuff like that. Ice hockey, and our high school men's league is still going on, basketball, but the other portion has wound down. It was a lot of fun. The kids had a blast. This year we did, for the first time, we took all the third graders, and we had enough to create 4 teams, and we had them scrimmage each other. Which was real, they loved it. It almost made us want to say, maybe we should do a third grade league, because they learned so much. I couldn't believe it. They were so good. Like they got, standing on the foul line. I was like, whoa, these kids learned something this year. It was nice. Summer, we do our swimming learn. We have our morning camps, which is the basketball, baseball, softball, track and field, wrestling, tennis, volleyball, field hockey, ice hockey, cheer, soccer, all that kind of stuff. We're still going to run our afternoon programs that will coincide with the Swim and Learn program, so that we can give kids more of a full day camp feel, which was the hope of it. And by doing it, the school does the transportation, so that's the key part in making that happen. So fingers crossed. And then the usual for our fall, we do it the same thing. Football starts, cheer starts, laser tag again. We have our, fall tennis, hip hop, Minds in Motion, pickleball. We started travel basketball league this year. We're the Tri-County League. We had 2 teams. We had a girls team and a boys team, 6th grade. The boys team struggled a little bit. I don't think the boys really knew what it was all about. The kids are loving the competition. They're playing different towns all around, and these are the kids like they'll be playing in high school. I've already had somebody approach me to do another 6th grade team next year, and 3 people to do 4th grade teams. One of them is the girls, which we've been really struggling with. So we were happy that seems to be taking off. The word is getting around.
Good.
So that's about it.
Kathy, is there any programs that you've heard that people want that you haven't been able to put together that you need help with, or?
No, and you know what? If somebody wants to try it, we try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The one thing I have not been able to get off is volleyball. I would really like to start a volleyball league, but it's so hard because we only can use the schools. And the time when you use it is when they're really in there, so.
You want to do beach volleyball?
That would be a lot of fun, but
Just
the beach is not level.
Pitched,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pitched, so I can't do it there. And in order to do a league like that, you really,
I was
even
just-
if you do regular outdoor volleyball, you can't just pitch a net and do it because technically the ground is supposed to be, so much, yeah. You'd have to dig up the dirt and it's a lot. We do have the nets and the poles because years ago, I guess, they're underneath Lakeview. At least most of the pieces are. Yeah, years ago, I guess they were gonna put them up.
He was
I don't
only
know.
kidding.
What?
He was only kidding.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, is one thing though that I do want to put up. I was talking to some of the kids today. It's called Gaga Ball.
Yeah, it's like
I
a
wanna put
cage,
one-
right?
So remember I said I wanted to put a tether ball behind the playground set at, on that flat area?
He'll never leave.
I had told Tony that I wanted to put the tether ball back there with that flat area. I want to put a Gaga.
Yeah, Gaga Pit.
Now, if you do
Kids
that, what
love
happens?
It's the perfect spot for it. It's flat and you don't use it for anything. It would fill up the whole area. 'cause
Where is it?
You need like 26 feet round. So,
Where?
That's what CAC wants.
Where were you gonna put it?
no, so where the playground is, the big structure that's all the way at the back?
Yep.
Behind it is a flat just
Oh, okay.
area.
Nothing.
Yeah, it'd be perfect.
It's perfect.
Do we have a bench there already too?
We don't have any benches there right now. No, we didn't put benches.
Yeah,
We did
but-
put a couple picnic tables there, but we can move them.
Yeah.
But it's the perfect spot for it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, yeah.
So I went online and looked, and to do a plastic, they have the plastic ones instead of doing a wooden one, because I figured wood you're gonna have to replace anyway,
Right.
but the plastic might last longer. It's like, the one I looked at was around $2,000. So, it looked really cool. I know the kids, they all talk about it at school. I've never actually played it. I've watched videos. It's kind of like playing dodgeball.
Dodgeball in a cage.
Yes,
It's
in a
an
cage.
octagon.
Yes, exactly. Dodgeball in a
MMA
cage. That's
dodgeball.
literally it. Dodgeball in a cage. But it is. I know a couple of parks. I know East Fishkill has one. I've seen the kids playing in it up there. So I just thought it's something that's kind of easy to do. That it would be just another addition. So
Like you have nothing else on the agenda,
I think that's it.
Okay.
But I just thought of that today. So
Thank you, Kathy.
always thinking.
Yeah, thank you for the update.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, recognition to the public. Anyone wish to speak?
Wait, we
We have to
didn't
do
do
the
the
regular
meetings.
meetings.
Oh, hold
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, have a seat.
Hold on.
It was so
Well,
late,
sit up
I
front,
I
then.
forgot where I was even at. Okay, hold on. Okay, yep, well, good thing we did.
Resolution.
Okay, I make the motion then to go into regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I thought that was a regular meeting, no. Okay, discussion, let's see, so resolution, Materion Landscape Bond and Erosion Control Bond. Now therefore be resolved that the erosion and sediment control bond shall be released and landscape bond shall be established for the project set forth below. Materion Corporation, erosion and sediment control, bond amount $3,400, reduced to zero. Dunmore International Corp., landscape maintenance bond, 2 year, bond amount $600. And be further resolved that upon posting the aforementioned maintenance bond, the town clerk be and she is hereby is duly authorized to cancel and return the erosion and sediment bond heretofore established in connection with the project, and be further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution shall be transmitted by the town clerk to the planning board secretary and building inspector forthwith. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last item on the agenda is a motion, set a public hearing to approve a local law to approve a 10% cap with no limit and possible reduction in number of years of service for fire and ambulance volunteers for Thursday, February 16, 2023. So
Second.
moved. Seconded by Art. All in favor?
Aye.
Recognition of the public. Are you public or employee?
Employee.
Okay.
Peter Bell, Parking Enforcement. We put up the new signs in Tenetta Lake Park for southeast resident parking only.
Mhm.
My question for you is, have we figured out anything for the summertime that will designate what a Southeast resident is. A sticker, a placard, whatever, so that the parking enforcement can identify those people and not give them tickets.
I'll just say that I think Tony had a plan for this, and I was very opposed to it. And I'll explain why. I think you had to get a permit, and I just think about, you know, in my family, my daughter, and aunts, uncles, parents, in-laws, it's like, you know, they need like 10 permits, and to explain to them they have to go to get a permit to go up to Castle Park. I just didn't like the idea. But maybe there's another solution. Maybe we could do that, and I'll vote no, or maybe there's, you know, certainly you can give all the people with Connecticut plates tickets, but maybe there's another solution, so
And
I'll fall on the sword for that.
I understand from his perspective, having, you know, how do you try to enforce that?
Yeah.
Okay,
One
so
thought
it's,
was-
and I also was a little taken aback by, you know, having residents paying for parking permits and.
Yeah, I was wondering
you know,
if we
so,
could send it in the garbage flyer or something like that, but I don't know.
yeah, it's, I guess we'll have to, thank you for bringing it up to our attention again, and I guess that's something that we'd have to go over in a work session.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, I realize that you need a solution.
Exactly.
Just to enforce what we're asking for.
Well, out-of-state plates are guaranteed.
Yeah.
Well,
What if it's not guaranteed?
As an example,
it's not
if
guaranteed
you-
that they're, you know, it could be a work car.
It could be a work car,
anything.
it could be
I mean,
a loaner.
certainly
from-
I have no problem
you know, your
ticketing Connecticut
BMW
plates.
from Ridgefield is the nearest service center, and
babysitter
they
has
give you a
a-
loaner.
has a-
You know,
That's the
and
thing,
you
too,
decide
like-
to go to the park that day.
Babysitter
So-
wanted to take my daughter to the park.
We just need
Should I go
direction.
get-
Connecticut plate.
That's
Go
all.
get a permit though? Yeah,
Okay.
it's a problem. We'll talk about it. No promises.
Thank
on the
you,
solution.
thank you for your, bringing it to our
I'm hoping the
attention.
sign
No problem.
does enough.
Okay,
Anyone else?
town board?
Nope.
Tomorrow, it's going to be severely cold with, we're going to have temperatures in the single digits with expected wind chill at -25. So you might want to refrain from being outside. If you have to go outside, please cover up every available inch of you. And, you know, however, you know, supposedly next week we're going back up to the 50s. So
Looking
the nice
forward
thing is we're seeing winter and right back in the spring again. So that's what I've got.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, I've asked.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll like to make a motion to close the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all for coming.